Brian.
Jason.
And this is Perfectly Screwed Podcast, episode 67. I have melodious. Melodious. That's the word. That is the right word, right? Melodious?
I think so.
Melodious tones. Yeah, I think it's melodious. Anyways, anyway. I have melodious tones in my voice. Speaking of, this is the second part, by the way, of the Memphis 3 that we're going to do today. And so if you haven't listened to episode 66, please go back and listen to that so you know what the hell we're talking about in episode 66.
Right, it'll help.
But speaking of true crime, did you hear recently in the news about the bitch? And this is from your hometown. You'll know this story, and I'll let you explain it to people that don't know real quick, give them a little summary of it. But you remember that chick who killed her stepdaughter in Gas City?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, she's appealing her conviction, saying there wasn't enough evidence to convict her. She's trying to get out of prison.
Really?
Claiming that there wasn't enough evidence to convict her. Now, they found the girl in her shed, didn't they?
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Right, yeah, choked to death.
I remember, they found her body.
Yeah, in the shed, choked to death. That's what I thought. So how isn't there enough evidence to convict your stupid ass? That's what I want to know. Yeah, what the fuck claims are you making to get out of prison?
Yeah, exactly. There's a dead body on your property.
I mean, yeah, that should be, we don't know where the girl is for 3 days. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, she's in the shed, dead, strangled.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't do it. Oh, no, there's no evidence against me.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, she's appealing it now and trying to say that the prosecutors didn't have enough evidence to convict her. I was like, bitch.
Well, good luck to you.
There's a lot of evidence to convict you.
Right.
You're rotting. Indiana is not letting you out. First of all, Indiana is not really an appeal kind of state.
Right.
For anybody that doesn't know, once you're convicted in Indiana, you're kind of convicted.
You're in, yeah.
You're going down for the full bat. It's not kind of. Also, did you see where Trump has been going off lately on just crazy rants? I hope the fuck they do something, because if this dude runs in 2024, there's problems.
Honestly, I don't pay attention to any of that.
He's going off on these rants. He was, okay, did I ever tell you about the Philadelphia thing? Okay, he's in Philadelphia, right?
So.
Okay, he's in Philadelphia, because it's the midterm elections, as you know. You know what I'm talking about, where it's Senate and all that. Okay, so the two people that are running for the race in Philadelphia, for Pennsylvania, are in Philadelphia. So it's about these two that are trying to get elected, okay? Not about Trump. So Trump thinks it's a good idea to stand up for 2 hours and talk about himself and give these guys 20 minutes to talk about the course.
Hell yes.
Right. And then he went on a whole rant of how the FBI is a bunch of fucking faggots because they invaded his home, broke in, took his classified documents.
Right.
First of all, bitch, why the fuck do you have classified documents in your house? Okay, you're not the president anymore. You have no right to them. You shouldn't have them. I mean, seriously. Let's just put it there. And they asked you for them repeatedly, and you refused to give them up. Okay, clearly, they had every right to go in your house and raid your house and get the documents. I mean, I'm sorry if you're a Trump supporter and a MAGA or Magna or whatever the hell it is, but they had every right. Then his son goes on. Oh yeah, another thing he said in Philadelphia, mind you, is, well, you see, the problem with Philadelphia is that it has the highest crime rate in the whole entire country because of the minorities. I was like,
what did he say?
Yeah.
Oh my.
I was like, what?
That's gonna get you.
What?
Yeah, I don't pay attention to it. It doesn't interest me.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's like a comedy routine.
I just couldn't care less, to be honest with you.
Watching him is like a comedy show. It's a complete comedy show. It is funnier now. Then his son gets on national news and says that those documents couldn't have been my father's documents. He said because in the FBI photos, they were spread out all over the floor and photographed. He said, my father is a very neat person, and he would not just leave his files just lying on the floor. Let me ask you something. If the FBI was taking photos, would they take photos of the files in the cabinet, or would they take them out of the cabinet,
right,
spread them on the floor where you could see them, and take? I mean, come on, dickhead. Obviously, they didn't find them on the floor, you stupid bastard. They found them in a filing cabinet, and they put them on the floor.
right.
What is wrong with you? Yeah, okay. Yeah, like the FBI never said they walked in and the files were right there in the middle of the office floor, you jackass.
Yeah, they're not just, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, they did some searching. That's what police do. Well, not in West Memphis, but everywhere else they do. In West Memphis, they just convict you on rusty knives in the backyard. You know.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. So, to catch everybody up, Damian Eccles, Baldwin, and McCluskey? Hold on. I'm fucking up names already. Miss Kelly, were all convicted of murder for murdering these 3 boys in West Memphis, Arkansas. So there has been, obviously, widespread criticism of the handling of the crime scene by the police. Ms. Kelly's former attorney, Dan Steedham, cites multiple substantial police errors at the crime scene. It was said that the police literally trampled through the creek bed where the bodies were found and didn't collect evidence in any way, shape, or form as a police department should do. They didn't rub off the crime scene. They let the locals in the crime scene. Locals. And then they're just walking through the creek beds. Walking through the beds.
Wow.
The bodies were moved and removed from the water before the coroner arrived to examine them. Or to determine the state of rigor mortis. So the bodies were allowed to decay on the creek bed. They were exposed to sunlight and insects an hour before the coroner arrived. The police did not even telephone the coroner until 2 hours. 2 hours before the coroner arrived. They didn't even call the coroner until 2 hours after they discovered the bodies.
Really?
Yeah. They didn't drain the creek bed in a timely manner and secure evidence in the water. Then, right after the bodies were pulled from the water, they sandbagged the creek bed.
Why?
I don't know. Oh my goodness. No blood was found at the crime scene, indicating that the location where the bodies were found was not the location where the murders actually happened. So, these bodies are severely mutilated with knife punctures, all of this, right? There's no blood anywhere at the crime scene. So, that tells you right there that they couldn't have been killed there.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so after the initial investigation, police failed to control disclosures of information.
But even if there was blood at the crime scene, these motherfuckers had trampled all through it.
Yeah. And then they sandbagged the river.
Yeah. What, for flooding? I don't understand.
Right.
Well, so put some sandbags in the river, and then that way if any more dead bodies float across, they'll just lay here on the sandbags.
So when you sandbag the river, automatically you're creating a dam. So any evidence that was in the river is now flowing into the fields beyond the river.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. So you've just created...
They're probably trying to weed knives out.
Oh, God. Yeah, you got to get them rusty knives out of the river. I mean, you never know.
Jesus. Like, I can't believe that there isn't, like, other police departments or something that are like.
What the
Hey,
hell?
wait a second.
What the hell are you doing?
Somebody needs to go over there and get this shit under control because these guys obviously haven't went to the same training.
Yeah, clearly. What training do you have to be a West Memphis Police Department officer? You just walk in off the street, say, I worked at Burger King. Oh, you're hired.
Yeah.
We need you.
Right, like basically all you have to do is pull up to the Bojangles drive-thru and be like, oh, he left? We're good.
Yeah, and by the way, while I'm here, can I get a 3-piece biscuit?
Right.
Make sure you put that honey butter on the side.
I mean, they're blatantly just absolutely not doing anything they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, this whole investigation
It's just like a joke.
It's a joke, yeah. And that's lay people, me and you talking about it. I couldn't believe being an actual police officer, an investigator, and looking at this and going, well, this is standard police work for us. I mean, this is a normal day in West Memphis.
It's just what we do.
Right here. So, listen to this. Not only that, but police records were a mess. They said to call them disorderly was putting it severely mildly. They said the small local police force was overwhelmed by the crime because this was unlike any investigation they had ever investigated. And they refused any offer of aid or consultation from the experts at the Arkansas State Police. Not only that, but West Memphis at the time was under investigation by the Arkansas State Police for suspected theft from the Crichton County Drug Task Force of drugs and dealing.
Really?
So the whole police department's under investigation for dealing drugs that they stole from the county lockup at this time also. They also stored all physical evidence. I can't even say it. I can't even say it. Okay. Woo. Hold on. Wait for this one. They stored. Oh my God. This is so funny. It's horrible. They stored the physical evidence taken from the crime scene in paper sacks they obtained from the supermarket, with the supermarket's name printed on the bags.
Jesus Christ. Wow. What an operation we got going.
And then they wrote in Sharpie marker what the evidence was on the paper bags.
Wow.
Oh, God, Jesus Christ. Rubber gloves? Hell no.
No.
Special evidence bags? Fuck no. Go to the shop and say.
We're going to lose the samples anyway.
Go down to the 7-Eleven, all right? Get me some paper sacks. That's what we need. Make sure that they're paper. You just bring them on down. We'll go ahead and get this done. Oh. At the scene of the crime, they asked the juvenile probation officer who they thought could have committed the murders, and he said, well, Eccles was capable of committing the murders. And the officer says, well, it looks like Damian Eccles finally killed someone. So from the get, they got him. Now, also, there was human bite marks that they found on at least one of the victims. They were first noticed. Of course, they weren't noticed by the police department then. They were they were noticed years later in photographs, years after the trial, and they were not inspected by any board-certified medical examiner until 4 years after the murders. The defense experts testified at the time, later on, 4 years later, that the marks in question were not even adult bite marks. They were made by a kid. And then the state experts said there was no bite marks at all, which I don't know how. And they said that the marks did not match the teeth of any of the three that had been convicted. So, oh God. Years later, they find these bite marks. That let's get past the point that they moved bodies from the location of a crime scene. Let's get past the fact that they moved the clothes out of the river before the coroner ever gets there. That they don't call the coroner until 2 hours after the bodies are moved and they're sitting out in the sunlight on a riverbank. Let's get past all that. Okay. Let's get past the fact that you're storing physical evidence in paper bags that was found in a river.
Right.
You're putting wet clothes in paper bags that were found in a river.
So,
and writing on them with a Sharpie
I guess
marker.
My thing is, I think everybody understands
Jesus
these
Christ.
kids didn't do it. The
Jesus Christ.
Police station is absolutely incompetent. They'll do anything they can to frame these kids for murder. But are they off now? Where are we going with this?
Okay. So in 94, obviously the three appealed their conviction. The convictions were upheld on direct appeal. In 96, Miss Kelly's lawyer, Dan Stidman, was preparing to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. In 2007, Eccles petitioned for retrial based on statutes permitting post-conviction testing of DNA evidence due to technological advances made since 94, which might prove to exonerate for wrongful conviction. The petition failed when the original trial judge, Judge David Burnett, disallowed presentation of the information in court. This ruling was in turn thrown out by the Arkansas Supreme Court for all three defendants. Now, what happened was...
so they got arrested in 93?
And convicted in 94. Now, what happened was, about this time, there was some very influential people that were noticing this case. There was documentary filmmakers Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky, which are extremely documented filmmakers, and they went to HBO and they said, hey, look at this case. And HBO, as well as some other very famous Hollywood people, started throwing money behind it and pressuring HBO to do this. And they did Paradise Lost, the child murders of Robin Hills. And then later on, they did Paradise Lost 2 and Paradise Lost 3.
All three documentaries about this case.
Three different films. There was also a book called Devil's Knot by Mara Levert, Blood of Innocence by Guy Rill, and The Last Pinnacle of the Sun, writings in support of the West Memphis 3. So there was a lot of people that put a lot of support behind this at the time. And because of that, they started the testing the DNA.
What year was that?
2002, 2003, and then 2007. But we're going to go further back first, so we'll go to 93, back to 1993, to show you some of the things that was still fucked up. So, John Mark Byers, the adopted father of Christopher Byers, gave a knife to cameraman Doug Cooper, who was working with documentary makers Joe Berlinger and Bruce Sinofsky while filming the first Paradise Lost feature. The knife was a folding hunting knife manufactured by Kershaw. According to statements given by Berlinger and Sinofsky, Cooper informed them of his receipt of the knife on December 19, 1993, after the documentary crew returned to New York. Berlinger and Sinofsky were reported to have discovered what appeared to be blood on the knife. HBO executives ordered them to return the knife to the West Memphis Police Department. The knife was not received at the West Memphis Police Department until 1994, January 8th. Byers claimed the knife had never been used. However, after blood was found on the knife, Byers stated that he used it once to cut deer meat. When he told the blood matched both his and Chris's blood type, Byers said he had no idea how that blood might have gotten on the knife. During interrogation, West Memphis police suggested to Byers, now they suggested, okay, to Byers that he might have left the knife out accidentally. And the Byers agreed with that.
Ooh.
So, during the investigation, they find blood on a knife. Now, it's not a rusted knife that they found in a river behind the house. No. It's a knife that one of the kids' dads had. Right? And then this knife has blood on it, which matches one of the victims and the dad. And then the police, of course, suggest, very mildly, I'm sure, that maybe the knife had just been let out and that's how you accidentally got blood on it. What police department is that? Is suggesting this to, I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's even more ridiculous. Further testing of the knife produced inconclusive results about the sources of blood. Uncertainty remained due to the small amount of blood and because both John Mark Byers and Chris Byers had the same DNA type. Byers agreed to and passed the polygraph test. But it was also indicated that he was under the influence of several psychoactive medications during the polygraph test. So in 1996 and 97, following their convictions, they submitted imprints of their teeth, all of them, Eccles, Kelly, and Baldwin. These were compared to the bite marks on Stevie Branch's forearm that were not mentioned in the trial or the original autopsy. There was no matches found to the teeth marks. So, John Mark Byers had his teeth removed in 97 after the first trial, but before an imprint could be made. He stated reasons for the removal are apparently contradictory. So there was no reason to remove his teeth, but right after the trial, he got all his teeth pulled and some false teeth put in. He said that medication he was taking caused periodontal disease. And then he said that he did it because of other dental problems he'd had over the years. After an expert examined the autopsy photos further in 1996 and 97, he noted that he thought there might be an imprint of a belt buckle on Byers' corpse. The elder Byers revealed to police that he had spanked his stepson before the boy had disappeared. So in 2003, that Vicky Hutchinson's lady, you remember me us talking about her. So in October of 2003, Vicky Hutchins, who was their main witness and who played the main part in getting them arrested to begin with, gave an interview in the Arkansas Times, and she stated that every word she'd given the police was complete lies and fabrication. She further said that the police had implied that if she did not cooperate with them, that they would take away her child. She said that when she visited the police station, employees had photographs of Eccles, Baldwin, and Miss Kelly on the wall and was using them as dart targets and laughing. She also claims that an audio tape the police said was unintelligible and that they conveniently lost.
Right.
Which doesn't surprise me a bit with these people.
No, I don't have anything.
She said it was perfectly clear and had no incriminating statements when she asked Eccles about the murders. So finally comes around 2007. And in 2007, DNA collected from the crime scene. It's funny because they lose all of this evidence, but the DNA they somehow kept to 2007.
Well, the paper grocery sacks held up fine.
Yeah, the grocery sacks held up fine.
Maybe they know something we don't.
Shop and save. That's where you get the evidence bags.
That's right.
That's where you get the good ones.
Keep them fucking fresh.
Keep them fresh, baby. So they got DNA evidence in 2007 that was collected from the crime scene. And, I mean, obviously, none was found to match DNA from Eccles, Baldwin, or Miss Kelly. A hair, not inconsistent with Stevie Branch's stepfather, Terry Hobbs, though. So, this is where Terry Hobbs starts to come into the picture. They found a hair in the DNA evidence, which they proved was Terry Hobbs, which was Stevie Branch's stepfather, who, let's put it out there, was also an alcoholic, was known to beat their mother, and was known to beat his stepkids.
Okay.
He was a very violent convicted felon.
Right.
So Terry Hobbs, his hair was found tied into one of the knots used to bind one of the victims. Now, I'm not the most genius person in the world, but personally, if you find a hair from somebody tied into the knot that was used to hogtie them, that's pretty good evidence.
That's evidence that I can stand behind.
Yeah, that's pretty good evidence that he was there.
Yes.
And tied the knot.
Right.
Just saying. Yeah.
100%.
Just saying that looks pretty damning.
That's a lead that you would think you could go off of.
Yes. But not the West Memphis.
No.
Not in Arkansas. Nobody. So, the prosecutors, while they conceded that no DNA evidence tied the accused to the crime scene, said, and I quote, "The state stands behind its convictions of Eccles and his co-defendants." Of course they do. There's no way at this point.
Can't. They have to, right?
Right. At this point, there is no way the state of Arkansas can turn around and say, hey, we fucked up and our police department, who we put complete faith in, is a bunch of retards.
Right. They have dug themselves so deep.
They painted themselves into this corner. Right.
They have to stand behind whatever ridiculousness it is.
Not only this, you're talking about 94 to 2007. They have been in prison at this point for 13 years. So you can't, after 13 years, go, hey, sorry guys, we fucked up.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, let them out.
Yeah. Right, it's cool. Sorry. So Pamela Hobbs. Now Pamela Hobbs is Terry Hobbs' ex-wife. Okay, she was the mother of the boy that was found in the creek bed there. So Pamela Hobbs on May 5th, 2009, declaration in the United States District Court of Eastern District, Arkansas, Western Division indicates that one hair was consistent with the hair of Terry's friend David Jacoby. So, now, not only do they have Terry's hair in the knots, they found another hair in the physical evidence of his best friend.
His drinking buddy,
David. So now you've got Terry Hobbs' hair, you got his buddy David, and funny enough, the day the boys went missing, they were together, hanging out, both of them, out in David's truck drinking, out in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. I mean, again, not an Einstein over here, but
seems
pretty obvious.
Seems like I got a couple fucking doors to knock on now.
She said, additionally, after the murders, my sister Jolynn, and I found in Terry's nightstand a knife that Stevie, which is the knife they eventually found, carried with him consistently. Always had it with him. Never left it. Okay? Or no, not the knife they found. This is Stevie's knife. This is Stevie Hobbs' knife. So this is his stepson's knife.
Yeah.
So they found in Terry's nightstand a knife, which Stevie always carried around with him. And she said, there is no reason I have to believe that he did not have it on him that day when he died.
Right.
Because he always carried it with him. He was playing with his friends. He wanted to carve some wood, whatever they did. He always carried the knife.
8, and you got a knife. You know what I mean? Every 8-year-old gets their first pocket knife or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't leaving. It's like a cell phone.
Well, it's not.
You ain't going nowhere without it.
Well, not only that, it was a pocket knife that his grandfather had given to him.
There you go.
He's never
Even
going
more
to
likely,
leave.
yeah.
He's not going to leave the house without this pocket knife. And then again, how does it wind up in his stepfather's nightstand?
Right.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Okay, she said Stevie loved that knife. I had been shocked the police did not find it with Stevie when they found his body. I had always assumed that my son's murderer had to have taken the knife during the crime. I could not believe it was in Terry's things. And he had never told me that he even had it.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. That's circumstantial evidence right there.
I mean, again, things are piling up to look bad for old Terry.
Terry's not looking good.
No, not at all. Here's some more. She said also her sister Jo Lynn said that she saw Terry, and she told the police this during the murder investigation. Now, she told the police this during the murder investigation. The police just kind of brush it aside, as they did pretty much all the evidence in this case.
Well, yeah, they're throwing darts at the pictures of the 3 boys.
Right.
I mean, what fucking more do you need?
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit, he listens to fucking Ozzy.
Right.
Dude. Come on.
Dart that motherfucker.
Come on.
Right.
But anyways, so Terry comes home, and Jo Lynn saw him wash his clothes and the bed linens and the curtains from Stevie's room at an odd time around right after the murders would have been committed. So,
Did you see him where?
in the house. He came back to the house right after the murders would have been committed, took the bed linens off his son's bed, took his clothes, and the clothes he was wearing, and all the curtains from his son's room, and washed them immediately in the washing machine. Did a couple loads of laundry real quick. For no reason. Just randomly. Right.
Nice.
In 2013, written statements from 2 men, Billy Wayne Stewart and Benny Guy, were introduced into the court. They both claimed to have information on the case linking Terry Hobbs to the murder, but were ignored by police initially. So, now we get to 2008. So in 2008, it was revealed that Kent Arnold, the jury foreman on the Eccles-Baldwin trial, had discussed the case with an attorney prior to the beginning of deliberations. Arnold was the main one advocating for the guilt of the West Memphis Three and shared knowledge of inadmissible evidence like Jesse Miskelly's statements with the other jurors. So he's, before the trial ever starts, talking to the prosecutors. And then he goes into the jury room. He tells them shit that only the prosecutors knew that couldn't even be put in the trial.
Right.
Because the judge said it was inadmissible. And he tells all the jurors that, hey, they got to be guilty because of this, this, and this.
Right.
Okay. At the time, legal experts agreed that this issue could result in the reversal of the convictions of Jason Baldwin and Damon Eccles. In 2008, attorney, now judge, Daniel Stidham, who represented Ms. Kelly in 94, testified at a post-conviction relief hearing. Stidham testified under oath that during the trial, Judge David Burnett erred by making an improper communication with the jury during its deliberations. The judge... Stidham overheard the judge discuss taking a lunch break with the jury foreman and heard the jury foreman reply that the jury was almost finished. He testified that Judge Burnett responded, "You'll need food for when you come back for the sentencing," and that the foreman asked in return what would happen if the defendant was acquitted. And Stidham said the judge closed the door without answering. So the judge told the jury foreman, oh, you're going to need food because we're going to sentence these guys. And the jury foreman goes, wait, what if we find them not guilty? We haven't decided yet. And the judge goes, come on now. Just shuts the door. Right. Then the judge did not put the incident on the court record and failed to meet the minimum requirements of state law to represent a defendant in a capital murder case. I mean, come on, guys. So, in October of 2007, they filed in federal court for a retrial or immediate release from prison of Eccles. The filing cited DNA evidence linking Terry Hobbs, stepfather of one of the victims, to the crime scene, and new statements from Hobbs' now ex-wife. Also presented in the new filing was new expert testimony that the supposed knife marks on the victim, including the injuries to Byers' genitals, were in fact the result of animal predators after the bodies had been dumped. So now they're saying the mutilations weren't even inflicted by knives. They were by animals. Right, so the boys had been drowned and hogtied and drowned. They were never stabbed. The mutilations occurred afterwards by animals.
Wow.
So they know that now. So basically that means the whole testimony that Miss Kelly gave is complete bullshit.
Right.
Complete bullshit.
Well, absolutely. Well, we knew that anyway.
Well, yeah. Okay. So, the circuit court in Arkansas denied the request for retrial, citing the DNA evidence was not conclusive. The ruling was appealed to the Arkansas Supreme Court, which heard only oral arguments in the case on September 30th, 2010. So now it's 2010 and they're still in prison.
Wow.
Yeah. 94 to 2010. So, in November 2010, the Supreme Court of Arkansas ordered a lower judge to consider whether newly analyzed DNA evidence might exonerate the three. The justices also instructed the lower court to examine claims of misconduct by the jurors who sentenced Eccles to death and Jesse, Miss Kelly, and Jason Baldwin to life in prison. In early December of 2010, David Burnett was elected to the Arkansas State Senate. Circuit Court Judge David Lasser was selected to replace David Burnett and preside in the evidentiary hearing mandated by the successful appeal. After weeks of negotiation, in August 19, 2011, Eccles, Baldwin, and Miss Kelly were released from prison as part of a plea deal, making the hearings ordered by the Arkansas Supreme Court unnecessary. The three were made to enter into an unusual Alford plea deal. The Alford plea is a legal mechanism that allows defendants to plead guilty while still saying they're innocent, which I don't understand that at all, because you're saying you did it, but you're saying I'm still innocent. So it's saying that basically the state had enough evidence to convict you, but I'm still saying I'm innocent. It's in cases where defendants say that prosecutors had sufficient evidence to secure a conviction, but that they still say they're innocent.
It's a way to get the fucking police department off the hook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And basically what you're saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, as long as you guys say that we had enough evidence to convict you, which they did not, then we'll let you go and you can say you're innocent. Right?
Mm-hmm. So, when they did this, the judge sentenced them to time served, a total of 18 years and 78 days, and they were each given a suspended sentence of 10 years. If they reoffended, though, they would go back to prison for 21 years. So if they did anything in the next 10 years, any crime whatsoever, they go back to prison for 21 years.
Oh, right.
But see, the other thing is they made all three of them agree to this. It was either all three agreed to take this deal or none of them got it. And Miss Kelly said he'd take the deal. Eccles, of course, is facing the death penalty. He said he's going to take the deal. Baldwin said he didn't want the deal. Was not going to take it. Okay.
Why? Did he say why?
Because he said he was innocent. He wasn't going to plead guilty when he was innocent.
Right. I don't blame him.
The only reason Baldwin says he took the deal is because they would have had to keep fighting. And Eccles was on death row. He had only months before they were going to execute him. So this is the thing. If they didn't take the deal now, Damien would have been dead by the time everything got cleared.
Everything would have been, because if he doesn't take the deal, they're going to have to go down different avenues.
Right. And Damien would have probably been...
And he's going to be,
he's
he's going to be dead,
Yeah. So he basically did it to save Damien's life.
I've never heard of it until you had said something about it. Like, it just... Yeah, dude. Like, and literally the only fucking reason that can be in place, like I said, is so that the police department doesn't have to basically admit that they fucked up.
Yeah, and in this case, severely.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing about this case they didn't fuck up. They fucked up from Jump Street all the way through.
If I was in the judicial system in any way, shape, or form, though, like I can't believe there weren't more people calling for the heads of the people that were in charge of the investigation, man. Like, it just because it gives the judicial system such a bad fucking rap, man.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, like, these dudes, not only are they incompetent and not in doing any job whatsoever, they clearly go above and beyond doing what they're not supposed to do, basically to get convictions.
Yeah. Well, see, here is something that gets even crazier, and this has just been recently. Are all three of them out? They're out now.
Okay.
But again, they're still fighting right now to still try to clear their names.
Well, fuck yeah, because if they so much as fucking jaywalk.
Yeah. A traffic ticket could be in 21 years. Yeah.
Right.
And, well, not at this point. I mean, at this point, they're almost clear of that because they were released in 2011.
Oh, okay.
So they're clear now. It's been 10 years, so they're clear now.
Gotcha.
Because, 2021.
That's a fucking rough 10 years, man.
But, I mean,
to mention, what can you do?
Well, this is
society.
Well, this is the other problem. There's rules in the United States that says, okay, whether or not, first of all, let's go this way. No matter what, they're still convicted murderers. On their record, they're still felons. So they can't own guns. They can't get certain jobs. They can't do certain things because they're felons. Mm-hmm. Secondly, you took away 18 years of their fucking lives when they did nothing. Nothing.
Right.
On top of all of that, they can't make any money off of their story because it states in law that a felon cannot profit from crimes they have committed.
Oh, wow.
Right. So they can't make any money off the documentaries. They can't make any money off their story. They can't write books. And there's been many books, including Terry Hobbs, who probably did do this, wrote a book recently about this and is making money off of it.
They've never even looked into it. Him and his buddy, David.
No.
The guys that did commit the murder.
No. Arkansas
haven't even looked into it.
Arkansas closed the case.
Yeah, because it's a closed still case. Have 3 convicted men.
Right, it's a closed case. So there is no new evidence ever being presented or researched because it's a closed case file.
Wow.
According to Arkansas, the case is closed. They don't want to hear nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? And, they say, hey, you took the plea agreement. We didn't make you take the plea agreement.
It's such misuse of the judicial system.
Oh, so. And here's even more. Now, in 2012, 2 years after they were released, there was a new documentary called West of Memphis. And West of Memphis is it's kind of the aftermath of all of this. But it gets everything a little more complicated. Okay? So, Michael Hobbs Sr. the brother of Terry Hobbs, who is the stepfather to Stevie Branch, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. He told his son Michael Hobbs Jr. that Terry killed the 3 kids. Michael Jr.
would be Stephen Branch, one of the victim's cousins.
Yes, it's his cousin. Now, Michael Jr. then tells 3 witnesses what he was told. All 3 of them gave written statements to the West Memphis 3 defense team. 2 of them went on camera for the movie, and just in time for it to be released. So, the 3 new witnesses were polygraphed of what they stated Michael Hobbs Jr., Hobbs' nephew, told investigators. So, they stated that one day Michael picked us up in his truck. He was very quiet and upset. Then Michael said to us, "You're not going to believe what my dad told me today. My Uncle Terry murdered those 3 little boys." According to Michael, his dad called this the Hobbs family secret, and he said, "You have to keep it a secret and not tell anyone." Another witness, separate from the other 2, stated, "One night last winter, Michael and I were playing pool in the basement when a third friend started talking about the West Memphis 3 case, which had been in the news. Michael responded by saying, 'My uncle killed those 3 kids in West Memphis.' Michael was dead serious when he said this." Now, there's some other... Now, given these witnesses, I will tell you, they are convicted felons. They were on criminal charges, this and that, and they have been convicted of drug felonies and this and that. But just because of this, but they also passed polygraph exams.
Right.
So, they passed polygraph exams. Now, later on, Michael Sr. said, "I never said that," and Michael Jr. recanted his statements. So later on, they said, "Oh, that never happened." But, okay, Michael Jr. is telling his friends in confidence when he's drinking.
Right.
Something that his dad said that's a huge family secret.
Yeah.
And then...
So, of course, when his dad finds out that
he's
going to
he's got it. He's got to
Yeah.
go back on that, or else his dad would beat his ass, man. He can't be telling... And plus, who knows what Terry might do to him? Terry...
We know he'll murder.
Right. He got away with it once. Obviously, it ain't too hard for you to come up missing, motherfucker. Shit.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Now, the witnesses state that Michael said that Terry and his buddy were drinking that day in their truck, in his buddy's truck. They were out drinking. And that they were at a local bar. And it's been known that Terry Hobbs was also bisexual. So Terry Hobbs, according to this whole statement and everything, took a couple of young boys from the bar, and him and his buddy took them out in the woods and were having sex with them. And that the 3 children rolled up on them on that Robin Hood Hill thing while they were engaged in homosexual activities. So that Terry and his buddy couldn't let that information get out, especially not in a small town like West Memphis, Arkansas, that they're over there butt-fucking dudes in the woods.
Right.
That can't happen. Plus, he's married to the dude's mom. He can't have her knowing he's out there butt-fucking dudes from the gay bar in the woods.
Exactly.
So that's why they committed the murders. They tied him up and then...
shut.
Yeah, because at that point, they said that Terry Hobbs said, "I have no choice at this point."
And because Terry Hobbs, being as evil as he fucking is, still has a shred of guilt, right? Took that fucking knife. Mm-hmm. His grandpa's knife that he always keeps on him.
Right.
And kept it in the fucking nightstand.
Right, because
he didn't want that fucking, you know what I'm
right,
saying? He probably felt like that was the right thing to do. You know?
Right, yeah, give it back to the family at least.
Right,
because, you know. But he couldn't let that information get out. And see, that sounds a lot more believable than 3 kids that didn't even know these kids.
It absolutely sounds believable because they found the motherfucker's hair.
And his friend's hair.
And his friend's hair in the fucking knot.
Right. I mean, that right there shows they had to be there, right?
Yes. And like you said, and tied the knot.
Right. Yeah. If your hair is entwined in the knot, okay, And yeah, of course the DNA evidence was not completely conclusive because you're talking about, what, 13 years later? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, and plus, as we've stated, it was stored in a grocery sack.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Right.
Right. But there's so many holes in this case that I cannot, like when you listen to the evidence and you see all the holes in this case, it's like, how the hell did you convict these motherfuckers, dude?
Right.
Like, literally, basically, they convicted them on trash talk in the community. That's what they did. They leaked those stories on purpose to convict those boys, and they were convicted before they ever stepped foot in that courtroom.
Right, and then even the judge deliberating with a jury foreman.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're not supposed to be doing this.
No. A judge telling the jury foreman they're guilty.
Basically, right.
Yeah, they're guilty.
Basically, like, look, I don't care what you tell them in there, but
yeah, they're guilty.
They're guilty, right?
Yeah.
Close the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When the jury foreman goes, well, what if we acquit them? And the judge goes, come on.
Right.
And close the door.
Right.
Come on. That is completely a mistrial right there.
Absolutely.
And then the jury foreman getting information from the prosecutor that isn't even supposed to be admissible in court.
Right.
What are you doing? And then half the testimonies are leaked. And I'm putting it in quotes for everybody who can't see me out there in radio land. But leaked by the police to the newspaper and is on the front page of the paper months before the trial happens. You've convicted them before they ever step foot in court.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying, like, it just surprises me that there wasn't a different law enforcement agency from the outside. Like I said, that was like, man, this is going to ruin the rep for all of us.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we need to step in here.
It sure as hell makes Arkansas look bad. You think at a certain point, the courts in Arkansas would have said, you know what, we're going to throw West Memphis under the fucking bus.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Right. Somebody from above would have been like, wait a second. You know
what I'm saying?
Not only is this wrong, but we need to probably get rid of the entire fucking police force there in West Memphis.
Yeah.
And think about getting them some actual decent people.
At the same time, like in 2007, and then even in 2011, when they gave them the Alfred deal, I can understand by that point, Arkansas can't admit wrongdoing. Because if they do,
you're right.
That's a huge lawsuit.
Yeah, you're right.
You've kept them in prison for 18 years. Do you know how much you can sue the state of Arkansas for keeping you in prison illegally for 18 years?
It's absolutely,
and almost putting you to death?
You're absolutely right. And
right.
Honestly, it's one of the things that scares me the most about a lie.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you let a lie get so big and carry on for so long, there will come a point where you cannot turn back from it.
Right. And there's no way that Arkansas could sit there and say, yes, we have a corrupt judge who's now a senator.
Right.
Oh, yeah, you're right. The police department's completely corrupt. You're right. Oh, wait. Yeah, our appeals court is completely stupid, and we're a bunch of ho-bunk motherfuckers in Arkansas.
Well, yeah, the people that are going to get implicated at this point are just, it's huge.
And you've got people in power that aren't going to admit that they fucked up.
Right, exactly.
They're just not.
Exactly right.
You've got educated, rich, very powerful people at this point that if you admit, hey, we all fucked up, they're going down.
Exactly.
And they're
not just losing their jobs.
Yeah, they're not just losing their jobs,
right.
And you're making the whole state look bad, and you're definitely making that town look like a bunch of Barney Fifes.
Man.
But I mean, they did anyways. I mean, with the documentaries and shit, they just, I mean, at that point, you know, you have the documentaries out there. You have the DNA evidence out there. At that point, Arkansas had to do something.
Yes.
Because it was clear to anybody who looked at the evidence that, hey, these guys are innocent. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it
if
fucking sucks to say it this way, but they were lucky that the Eccles kid was on the death penalty because they wouldn't have took the deal if he wasn't.
No,
because that Baldwin dude wasn't, and he's right. Like, no, I'm not admitting my guilt.
Yeah. If it had been the other way around, and Eccles had life in prison instead, they would still be in there. Yeah, they would have been fighting.
Dude, it's just.
Eventually something would have had to happen.
You know what? The other thing that strikes me as scary, man, is that just because you're different means that literally puts you in danger of being convicted of something that you absolutely didn't do, man. Just because you're different.
Well, that's the history of our country.
Yeah.
That's why the court system is so fucked up. Because look, how many African American men have been convicted just because they're African American men?
How many have been shot and killed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're African Americans. Not too long ago, he was just jogging down the road. Police pulled their guns out with no provocation and shot the guy because they suspected him of robbing houses and killed him. Just because he's black in a white neighborhood running down the road. That's insanity.
Yeah,
that's just nuts.
That is.
Okay, the things that the police do and get away with and the things that the courts do and get away with are insane. That's why, like I said, the idea of a fair trial in this country doesn't exist anymore. Because the moment someone walks into court, no matter what happens, it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. That is not the way it sits anymore.
No, it's not. Right.
The jury thinks you're guilty the moment you walk in there, and you've got to prove
your innocence.
Your innocence.
100%.
Right. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be the exact backwards of
that way, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, I don't know that it's ever been that way. It's just that it's been told to you that that's how it is, and then people just kind of go with it.
Yeah, but that's never been the way. No, of course not. Because even if you look,
how it is,
if you look back in Salem days, they said she was a witch. Well, okay, she's obviously a witch. Let's burn her.
Let's just burn her, dude. Like if your wife was pissed off enough at you, you know what I mean? She could do something that would leave a mark on herself, call the cops, and they would take you to jail, dude.
Of course they would.
Not one question asked.
She wouldn't even have to mark a mark. All she have to do is say that I did something.
True.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be your wife. It could be anybody.
Anybody, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, do you know how many guys have went to prison over a girl saying that they raped them when all they did was have regular sex with them?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they got pissed? A lot. And it happens all the time.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And stuff like this happens all the time, and this is just another example. There's so many cases like this where people are convicted, and
it is, dude. It's why it's important that it gets brought to the forefront.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, people got to know about this shit, man. Like, this shit's real shit.
Yeah. Because think about it. If no one had done a documentary, if no one had noticed this case that was in Hollywood and in power, these guys would have never got out of prison. Damon Eccles would be dead. They would have just kept him in there. They would have been like, yeah, fuck y'all. We ain't doing nothing. If it hadn't had as much attention nationwide as it got, they would have never did anything to help him.
Dude, yeah. That's crazy to think, man.
Yeah.
That somebody would lose their life having never done anything wrong.
Yeah, except for like Stephen King and listen to Ozzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're black.
And we're black. Yeah. That's the things they do wrong. Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Yeah, that does it. But that's enough, obviously, in Arkansas to kill you. That's enough for the death penalty in Arkansas.
Right.
That's what we get. Especially when you're putting
also like a
physical evidence in shopping bags.
You can also see, too, like how far down the line that the corruption can go. You know what I'm saying? Like, because there's so many people that are corrupt in this.
I mean, yeah.
Not, from the cops to the jurors to the judge to the senators to the Supreme fucking Court.
Well, the police department there is clearly just worthless as hell.
Right.
I mean, when I read that they put...
I mean, if they work half as hard on trying to find the facts as they did trying to make fiction fact...
You can't find the facts when you're moving bodies before the coroners get there.
Right.
and sandbagging the river and putting physical evidence in shopping bags.
Right.
There's no facts to find at that point.
No.
Any evidence that was there, I'm surprised they ever found Terry Hobbs' hair.
Yeah,
if it hadn't been in the knot that was tied, if it had not been tied in the knot, they would have never found that.
No.
And you know what's funny? If they hadn't fucked up so much evidence, they might have found out that Terry Hobbs actually did it. Because there might have been a lot more evidence there that Terry Hobbs had left there.
Absolutely there was.
Right. But because they're just randomly trampling through the crime scene and moving bodies and doing dumb shit,
right,
they destroyed 90% of the evidence that possibly was there.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably could have caught this motherfucker a lot sooner. And what really irks me, though, out of all of this, more than the fact of them convicting them falsely and everything, is that these 3 little boys died, and you have evidence that points to their killer. And instead of actually looking at the evidence, and now that you know the evidence points to this guy, instead of investigating that to find justice for these boys, you're just like, fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fucked up. You should go over there and look into this man and see if you can prove if he fucking did it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, face be damned. I mean, you know, okay, we fucked up. You're right. We convicted the wrong guys. Just admit to that shit and say, but we got the right guy now.
Exactly.
Right. At least then you're doing something to redeem the state and redeem the police department and redeem yourself.
Yeah, because that Alford deal literally seems like a fucking, it seems like you're just now piling, like you've already made a mistake, you did something wrong, and now you're just piling onto it because you're letting this Hobbs motherfucker run free.
Yeah. He just gets, not only is he running free, he gets to write books about it, and he's making millions of dollars off of this shit.
Right.
And he's probably the killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're just, it's cool.
Yeah, man.
It's fine.
At least we didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, we didn't do anything.
We got the killers.
Yeah, we got them. Can't prove
Who
it.
cares if they're running the streets?
Yeah. Well, anyways.
It's wild, man.
Anyways, I hope you enjoyed episode 67. And I hope you enjoyed these 2 episodes about the Memphis 3. And we will see you next time.